So apparently, a year ago, June, I was on Dr. Greger's website, nutritionfacts.org, which I'm on regularly. And apparently there's a button on there that said if you'd like Dr. Greger to speak, fill this out, and apparently I did. Because last May they called and said, okay, he's coming. And I said, well, that's nice. Why did you call me? And they said, well, you filled out a form a year ago. So we're off and running. Without naming names, we had an institution that said they were going to help put this together and do all kinds of stuff. And I'm not going to name them in front of everyone. I'll name them individually later. But it didn't work. And so we didn't have an event like 3 days before Christmas. And it was really panicky. Like it all fell apart. And so you know there are really great people when you say, I need help, and they say yes. They don't say fill out a form, they don't say what's your nonprofit ID number, they don't ask you your insurance waiver, because we don't have any of that. We're just volunteers, right? So I texted Dr. Carole Goldsmith and said, we need a venue, please say yes. Parenthetically, I'll owe you for the rest of my life. And she just texts back, yes, let's do it. So, we're going to work it out. I called the Radisson Hotel in downtown Fresno and said, we don't have a budget, but we need a room. We got this really great speaker coming, and they said, yes, let's do it. So, vegans, have family visiting town or whatever, send them to the Radisson and make sure and thank them when you go there. Raw Fresno, same thing. Naomi. And every time there was something, we had a glitch. She was going to do appetizers at the other place, and then they made her life miserable, and so she stuck with it. And then we moved to City College, and she said, yeah, I'm still there, we'll do food upstairs. And then the books, I couldn't buy them because I don't have a resale number. It's like 3 days ago. I go, Naomi, you have a real resale number, will you do this? And she just filled out the forms and got the books here yesterday. So if you want to buy books, they're going to be upstairs afterwards. Put it on her credit card, so let's go buy some books so she can pay her credit card at the end of the month. We have 80 books, and then Dr. Greger will sign those. If he still has time, we can sign other books as well. But we're going to get those of you that can support Naomi and Raw Fresno and buy the books from her first. I want to thank Vegan Fresno for jumping in with a bunch of volunteers. So the other thing we don't have, because all this got thrown together, is we don't have an honorarium, which Dr. Greger wants donated, not to him, but to nutritionfacts.org. So what I'm going to ask all of you to do is crowdsource support for nutritionfacts.org. He didn't ask for that, he came anyway. Didn't matter to him because he's spreading the word for all of our health benefits. But I know that if all of you kick in the $10 you would have gladly paid to be here tonight, or more if you're feeling generous, then go ahead and we're all going to make those contributions to nutritionfacts.org, and he's going to be really smiley, and he's going to come back to Fresno for lunch. So real quickly, I know we want to get to Dr. Greger. So my story, had the health visit, everything was wrong, bad heart, bad diabetes, bad obesity, bad all that stuff. Looked everything up, went to whole food plant-based diet, and everything got reversed. In 6 months I was off all my medication, and that day I went to my doctor visit. I went downstairs to go back to my car, and Kaiser has a little farmer's market out front. And there was a guy selling cheese. And I said, well, I think I need a reward for this good stuff that I've done. And then if you've read How Not to Diet Yet, you will know the phrase, what the hell? cleaned it up a little bit for us. So I am now Craig What the Hell Sharpen, because once I had the cheese, well then I might as well do something later, and then something the next day, and something the next day, and I completely went the wrong direction. So Dr. Greger heard this idiotic story, and he wrote this book called How Not to Diet, and it is directly for me. I don't know, you might feel like it's for you too, but it's really fun. I listen to it on Audible 24 hours, and it's really fun because I listen without earbuds, so I have it in my pocket. And I'm walking around, and only when there are other people around does he talk about things like anal leakage, impotence, those kinds of things. It's only when other people walk into the room. But it's a great book, again, so filled with facts that everything is backed up, and we're confident in everything that he says. And so I will just start by reading his bio. Dr. Michael Greger is a founding member and fellow of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. He is a physician, a New York Times best-selling author, internationally recognized speaker on nutrition. He was in London 2 weeks ago. He has videos on more than 2,000 health topics freely available at nutritionfacts.org. I encourage you to sign up so you get them daily, with new videos and articles uploaded almost every day. Dr. Greger has lectured at the Conference of World Affairs, testified before Congress, and was invited as an expert witness in the defense of Oprah Winfrey in the infamous meat defamation trial. He is a graduate of Cornell University School of Agriculture and Tufts University School of Medicine. His latest books, How Not to Die, How Not to Die Cookbook, and How Not to Diet, all became instant New York Times bestsellers. All proceeds he receives from the sales of his books go to charity. And that's why we love him. So let's give him a big Fresno welcome.
Chief Priest in the back. Good? Yes. All right. Allow me to begin on a personal note. This is a picture of me around the time that my grandmother was diagnosed with end-stage heart disease and sent home to die. She was given her, she had end-stage heart disease. Had so many bypass surgeries, basically run out of plumbing at some point. Confined in a wheelchair, crushing chest pain. Her life was over at age 65. And she heard about this guy, Nathan Pritikin, one of our early lifestyle medicine pioneers. And what happened next is actually detailed in Pritikin's biography. My grandma was one of the death's door people. Frances Greger, my grandma, arrived at one of Pritikin's early sessions in a wheelchair. Mrs. Greger had heart disease, angina claudication, her condition so bad she could no longer walk without great pain in her chest and legs. Within 3 weeks, though, she's not only out of her wheelchair, she was walking 10 miles a day. This is a picture of my grandma at her grandson's wedding, 15 years. Doctors had abandoned her to die. She was given a medical death sentence at age 65, but thanks to a healthy diet, she was able to enjoy another 31 years on this planet until age 96, to continue to enjoy her 6 grandkids, including me. That's why I went into medicine. And years later, when Dr. Guidonis published his landmark lifestyle heart trial proving something called quantitative angiography that indeed heart disease could be reversed, arteries opened up without drugs, without surgery, just a plant-based diet and lifestyle program, I assumed, oh, this was going to be the game changer. I mean, my family had seen it with their own eyes, but here, in black and white, published in some of the most prestigious medical journals in the world, yet nothing happened. I said, wait a second, effectively the cure to our #1 killer could get lost down some rabbit hole and ignored. What might else there be in the medical literature that could help my patients, but just didn't have a corporate budget driving its promotion? Well, I made it my life's mission to find out. For those of you who are familiar with my work, every year I read through every issue of every English language nutrition journal in the world, so busy folks like you don't have to. Very nice. I think the most interesting, most groundbreaking, most practical find is new videos and articles I upload every day. My nonprofit site, nutritionfacts.org. Everything on the website is free. No ads, no corporate sponsorships, particularly non-commercial, not selling anything. Just put it up as a public service, as a labor of love, as a tribute to my grandma. New videos and articles every day on the latest in evidence-based nutrition. What a concept. So where did Predicate get his evidence from? Well, a network of missionary hospitals set up throughout sub-Saharan Africa uncovered what may be one of the most important advances in health, according to one of our most preeminent medical figures of the last century, Dr. Dennis Burkitt, the fact that many of our major and commonest diseases were universally rare, like heart disease, for example. The African population in Uganda, coronary heart disease was almost non-existent. You say, wait a second. What were they eating? Well, they're eating lots of vegetables and grains and greens, and their protein almost entirely from plant sources. And they had the cholesterol levels to prove it, very similar to what one sees in kind of modern day. Like in Uganda versus St. Louis, the 632 autopsy in Uganda, only one myocardial infarction, one heart attack. Out of 632 autopsies in Missouri, 136 myocardial infarctions, age and gender matched autopsies. In fact, they're so low, so it's more than 100 times the rate of our leading killer. They're so low when we went back to another 800 autopsies in Uganda. Still, just that one small field infarct, I mean, it wasn't even a common competitor. Out of 1,427 patients, less than 1 in 1,000, whereas here, heart disease is an epidemic. Atherosclerosis, pulmonary arteries, is a disease that begins in childhood. By age 10, nearly all kids raised on the standard American diet already have what are called fatty streaks building up inside their arteries, the first stage of the disease. These fatty streaks then turn into plaques in our 20s, get worse in our 30s, and then start killing us off. In our heart attack, in our brain, the same disease process can cause a stroke. So if there's anyone here this evening older than age 10, then the question is not whether or not you're healthy to prevent heart disease, it's whether you want to reverse the heart disease you likely already have, whether you know it or not. But is that even possible? And the researchers took people with heart disease, put them on the kind of plant-based diet followed by populations that do not get epidemic heart disease. Their hope is maybe we can slow the disease down a little bit, maybe even stop it. But instead, something miraculous happened. As soon as people stopped eating artery-clogged diets, their bodies were able to start dissolving some of that plaque away, opening up arteries, without drugs, without surgery, suggesting their bodies want to be healthy all along, or we can never give them the chance. This remarkable improvement in blood flow to the heart muscle itself was after just 3 weeks of plant-based nutrition. Let me share with you what's been called the best-kept secret in all of medicine. Best-kept secret in medicine is that sometimes, under the right conditions, the body can actually heal itself. You know, if you whack your shin really hard on a coffee table, you get a red-hot, painful, swollen, inflamed, but will heal naturally. You stand back, let your body work its magic. Okay, but what if you whack your shin in the same place day after day? Or in fact, 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner? You never heal. You go to your doctor and say, oh, my shin hurts. They're like, no problem. Whip out their pad, write your prescription for painkiller. You're still whacking your shin 3 times a day. Oh, still really hurts like heck, but oh, feels so much better. Those pain pills on board. Thank heavens for modern medicine. Our body wants wants to come back to health if we let it. But if we keep re-damaging ourselves 3 times a day, we may never heal. It's like smoking. One of the most amazing things I learned in all my medical training is I lived about 15 years. Your lung cancer risk approached that of a lifelong non-smoker. 15 years after quitting. I mean, your lungs can clear out all that tar, and eventually it's almost as if you never started smoking at all. And every morning of our smoking life, that healing process starts to wham, first cigarette of the day. Re-injuring our lungs with every puff, just like we can re-injure our arteries with every bite, when all we had to do all along, the miracle cure, is just stand there. Get out of the way. Stop re-injuring ourselves and let our body's natural healing processes bring us back towards health. The human body is a self-healing machine. Right? Sure, you can choose moderation. Hit yourself with a smaller hammer. But why beat yourself up at all? This is nothing new. American Heart Journal, 1977. Cases like Mr. F.W. here. Heart disease so bad couldn't even make it to the mailbox. Started eating healthier. A few months later, he was climbing mountains, no pain. Right? Now, there are these fancy new classes of anti-angina drugs on the market now. Cost thousands of dollars a year. But hey, at the highest dose, they'd be able to extend exercise duration as long as 33.5 seconds. Doesn't look like those choosing the drug route are going to be climbing mountains anytime soon. See, plant-based diets aren't just safer and cheaper. They can work better because you're treating the underlying cause of the disease. Now, normally at this point, I'd move on to killer number 2, cancer. Talk about the role of diet. They play preventing, arresting, and reversing each of our top 15 killers. I want to take advantage of the time we have together to answer lots of questions, so I'm just going to skip through a few of these, but in a certain sense, like, what more do we need to know? There's only one diet ever proven to reverse heart disease in the majority of patients, a plant-based diet. So, anytime someone tries to tell you about some new diet, do me a favor, ask them a simple question. Wait a second, is this diet proven to reverse heart disease? The number one reason me and all my loved ones will die? If the answer is no, why would you even consider it, right? If that's all a plant-based diet can do, reverse the number one killer of men and women, shouldn't that kind of be the default diet to prove another one? And in fact, that could also be so effective preventing, arresting, reversing other leading killers like type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure would seem to make the case for plant-based eating simply overwhelming. Let's touch on diabetes. For example, we've known since back in the 1930s, take a small group of diabetics, put them on a plant-based diet, come back 5 years later, a quarter of them were off their insulin altogether. Yeah, but plant-based diets tend to be relatively low-calorie diets, and maybe their diabetes just got better because they lost so much weight. I mean, to tease that out, we'd have to do is put people on a healthy diet, but force them to eat so much food that they don't lose any weight. We can see if there's some unique benefits to plant-based eating beyond just all the easy weight loss. Well, we have to wait 44 years, but here it is. Some just for weight every day, they start to lose weight, they'll maybe eat more food. In fact, so much more food. Some of the participants have problems eating it all. They're like, oh, not another salad. Oh. But eventually they adapted, so no weight loss, despite restricting meat, eggs, dairy, and junk. Okay, so with zero weight loss, was there any benefit for their diabetes? Well, insulin needs were cut 60% across the board. Half the diabetics ended off all their insulin altogether. Wow. How many years did that take? No, 16 days. 16 days later. So we're talking diabetics who've had diabetes for as long as 20 years, injecting 20 units of insulin a day, then 13 days later on and on. Diabetes for 20 years, then off all insulin in less than 2 weeks. Diabetes for 20 years because no one had told them about a plant-based diet. For decades, they were 13 days away at any time from being free. Here's participant number 15, 32 units of insulin on the control diet, and then 18 days later on none. Lower blood sugars on 32 units less insulin. That's the power of plants. And remember, this was with zero weight. His body just started working better because he was eating the proper fuel. And what are the side effects? Oh, how about cholesterol's dropping like a rock to under 150 on average, making it effectively heart attack proof too, just like a little bonus. So just like asking patients to make moderate changes in diet can only get you kind of modest benefits in terms of cholesterol reduction, how moderate do you want your diabetes? Everything in moderation. It's a truer statement than many people realize. Asking diabetics to make moderate changes in diet can leave them with moderate blindness, moderate kidney failure, moderate amputation, maybe just a few toes or something. Moderation in all things is not necessarily a good thing. There was a famous study published in a journal called Cell Metabolism purporting to show that diets high in meat, eggs, and dairy can be harmful to the health of smoking, suggesting that those who eat animal protein in middle age 4 times as likely to die from cancer, diabetes. But if you look at the actual study, you see it's simply not true. Those eating lots of animal protein during middle age didn't have 4 times the risk of dying from diabetes. They had 73 times the risk of dying from diabetes. Now those that chose moderation, only a moderate amount of animal protein, they just had 23 times the risk of death from diabetes. The academic institution where the study was done sent out a press release with a memorable opening line. That chicken wing greenie could be as deadly as a cigarette. Explaining, look, quadrupling one's risk of dying from cancer, and that's comparable to what one might get smoking. So what was the reaction in the scientific community to this revelation that diets high in meat, eggs, and dairy can be harmful to the health of smoking? Well, one nutrition scientist said it was potentially dangerous to tell people about the study. Why? Because, hey, a smoker might think, why bother quitting smoking? My ham and cheese sandwich is just as bad for me. So let's not tell anyone about the whole meat and dairy thing. Shh. That reminds me of a famous Philip Morris cigarette ad that tried to downplay the risk by saying, hey, you think secondhand smoke is bad, increasing the risk of lung cancer 19%. Well, hey, drinking 1 or 2 glasses of milk every day, maybe 3 times, that's 62% increased risk of lung cancer. Doubling your risk frequently cooking with oil. Tripling your risk of heart disease by eating non-vegetarian. Multiplying your risk 6-fold. If you eat lots of meat, dairy, the risks from everyday activities may be well below that of secondhand smoking. So the risk of secondhand smoking is well that of other activities. So breathe deep. That's like saying, hey, don't worry about getting stabbed, because getting shot is so much worse. How about neither? 2 risks don't make a right. Of course, you'll note Philip Morris stopped throwing dairy under the bus once they purchased Kraft Foods. Just saying. All right, then we jump down to high blood pressure. Here, 78 million Americans, that's 1 in 3 American adults, and as we get older, pressures get higher and higher, such that by age 60, the majority of us have high blood pressure. Wait a second. If most of us get high blood pressure when we get older, maybe it's less a disease and more just a natural, inevitable consequence of aging. No, it was since the 1920s that high blood pressure did not occur. Blood pressure is measured of 1,000 people living in rural Kenya. Typical Kenyan diet, something like this, lots of corn, beans, and vegetables, fruits, greens. Our pressures go up as we age, such that we're hypertensive by age 60, their pressures go down. And the lower, the better. Now, evidence that even people under 120 over 80 may benefit from blood pressure reduction. So the ideal blood pressure, the no benefit from reducing it further blood pressure, 110 over 70. Is it even possible to get pressure down to 110 over 70? It's not just possible, it's normal for those living healthy and alive. 2 years in this rural Kenyan hospital, 1,800 patients were admitted. Oh, how many cases of high blood pressure did they find? 0. Wow, was that low rates of heart disease, right? No, they had no rates of heart disease. Now, same case of arteriosclerosis. Our #1 killer was, wow. Rural China, same thing, about 110 over 70 their entire lives. 70-year-olds, same blood pressure, 16-year-old. They say African diet, Asian diet, vastly different diets. What they share in common is that they're plant-based day to day, and meat only on special occasions. We say, what are the things the plant-based nature of their diets that was so protective? Because in the Western world, according to the American Heart Association, the only group of folks getting it down that low on average are those eating strictly plant-based diets, coming in at an average of about 110 over 65. This is the largest study of plant-based eaters done to date. A study of 89,000 people living in an obscure state called California. Comparing non-vegetarians, so-called semi-vegetarians, or flexitarians, those that eat meat a few times a month, but not every week, compared to those who eat no meat at all, except fish, compared to those who eat no meat, period, compared to those who eat no meat, eggs, or dairy. And this is the Adventist 2 studies. These are Adventists. So even the non-vegetarians actually didn't eat a lot of meat compared to the general population. Tended to eat lots of fruits and vegetables, and not smoke, and exercise, really healthy cohort of meat eaters. But still, we see this stepwise drop in high blood pressure rates more and more plant-based people ate. Same thing with diabetes, same thing with obesity. So yeah, sure, you can throw the vast majority of your risk out the window eating strictly plant-based, but it's not all or nothing. It's not black or white. Any movement we can make along the spectrum towards eating healthier can accrue significant benefit. You can show this experiment. You take vegetarians, give them meat, pay them enough to eat it, and their pressures go up. Or you can take people who already eat meat, remove meat from their diet, and their pressures go down. Within 7 days, and this is after, the vast majority had to stop their blood pressure medications or reduce their blood pressure medications. They had to. You can't be on multiple blood pressure medications with normal blood pressure. Drop your pressures too low, right? Get dangerous. Get dizzy, fall over, hurt yourself, right? Lower pressures on fewer drugs. Within 7 days. That's the power of plants. So, does the American Heart Association recommend a no-meat diet? No, they recommend a low-meat diet, so-called DASH diet. So wait a second, when they were creating this DASH diet, were they just not aware of this landmark research done by Harvard's Frank Sachs? No, they were aware of this research. The chair of the design committee that came up with the DASH diet was Frank Sachs. See, the DASH diet was created with #1 goal, capturing the blood pressure lowering benefits of more plant-based diet, yet contained enough animal products to make it palatable to the general population. They didn't think the public could handle the truth. You can think what they were thinking, right? Just like drugs never work unless you actually take them, right? Diets don't work at all unless you actually eat them. So they're like, look, how many people are going to go strictly plant-based, right? But if we soft pedal the message, right, come up with some kind of compromised diet, well then on a population scale, we'll do more good. Okay. Tell that to the 1,000 American families a day that lose a loved one to high blood pressure. Maybe it's time to start telling the American public the truth, which is that in the United States of America, most deaths are prevented. I mean, most deaths did not need to happen. Why? Because cost of nutrition. According to the Global Burden of Disease Study, the largest study in history of disease risk factors funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the number one cause of death in these United States is the American diet. Leading cause of disability, it's our diet. Now bumping cigarettes to number 2. Tobacco now only kills about 500,000 Americans every year, whereas our diet kills many more. So wait a second. If most deaths are preventable related to nutrition, leading cause of death and disability, well then, obviously, nutrition is the number one thing taught in medical school, right? I mean, obviously, it's the number one thing your doctor talks to you about at every single visit, right? They say, how can there be this disconnect between the science and the practice of medicine? Well, let's do a thought experiment. Imagine yourself a smoker back in the 1950s. It was back in the 50s, the average per capita cigarette consumption, 4,000 cigarettes a year. Meaning the average person walking around smokes half pack a day, on average. The media was telling people to smoke. Famous athletes agreed. Even Santa Claus wanted you to smoke. I mean, look, you want to keep fit and stay slender, so make sure to smoke. And eat lots of hot dogs to stay trim, and eat lots of sugar to stay slim and turn a lot better than that apple there. I mean, sheesh, right? But apples do connote goodness and freshness, reads one internal tobacco industry memo, which brings up many possibilities for youth oriented. They want to make apple-flavored cigarettes for kids. Shameless. For digestion's sake, we should smoke. I mean, no curative powers claimed by fellow Moors, but hey, better be safe than sorry, and smoke. Blow in her face and she'll follow you anywhere. No woman ever says no, they're so round, so firm, so fully packed. After all, John Wayne smoked them until he got lung cancer and died. Back then, even the paleo folks were smoking. And so were the doctors. Now, this is not to say there wasn't controversy within the medical profession. Sure, some doctors smoke Camels, but others preferred Lucky. So there was a little disagreement there. The leader of the U.S. Senate agreed he wouldn't want to give their throat a vacation. Not a single case of throat irritation. How could there be when cigarettes are just as pure as the water you drink? Maybe up in Flint, Michigan. But don't worry, if your throat does get a little irritated, your doctor can just write you a prescription for cigarettes. This is the Journal of the American Medical Association. So when the AMA is on record saying smoking on balance is good for you, not just neutral, but actually good for you, where could you turn back then if you just wanted the science? Or what's the new data advanced by science? Well, she wasn't too tired for fun, and then she smoked a Camel. Babe Ruth spoke of proof positive medical science, that is, when he still could speak before he died of throat. If by some miracle, back then, there was some kind of smokingfacts.org website that could deliver the science directly and bypass commercially corruptible institutional filters, you would have become aware of studies like this. This is an Adventist study out of California, published in 1958, showing that non-smokers had at least 90% less lung cancer than smokers. It wasn't the first. When famed surgeon Michael DeBakey was asked why his studies back in the 30s linking lung cancer and smoking were simply ignored off the face of the earth, He had to remind people what it was like back then. We were a smoking society, right? In the movies, on airplanes, medical meetings where one heavy haze of smoke, smoking was, in a word, normal. So, we're in the 50s in the know. What do? I mean, with access to the science, you realize the best available balance of evidence suggests your smoking habits not so great. So, do you change? Or do you wait? I mean, if you wait until your doctor tells you between puffs to quit, you have cancer by then. If you wait until the powers that be officially recognize it, like the Surgeon General did in the subsequent decade, you could be dead by then. It took more than 7,000 studies in the deaths of countless smokers before the first Surgeon General's report against smoking came out. You'd think maybe after the first 6,000 studies, it could give you a little heads up or something. Powerful industry. Maybe we should have stopped smoking after the 700 study like this came out. But as a smoker in the 50s, on one hand, you had all society, the government, the medical profession itself telling you to smoke. On the other hand, all you had was the science. If you've been aware of studies like that. So let's fast forward a half century. There's a new vintage study out of California warning Americans about something else. And they're putting in their mouths. And of course, it's not just one study. They put all the studies together. And death from all causes put together. And hereditary disease is significantly lower among those eating more plant-based. So, instead of someone going along with America's smoking habits in the 50s, imagine you or someone you know going along with America's eating habits today. What do? I mean, with access to the science, you realize the best available balance of evidence suggests your eating habits not so good. So, do you change? Or do you wait? I mean, if you wait until your doctor tells you between bites to change, it'll be too late. Even after the Surgeon General's report came out, the AMA went on record officially refusing to endorse it. Why? Couldn't have been because they were just handed a $10 million check from the tobacco industry? Maybe. Okay, so we see why the AMA was sucking up to the tobacco industry. Why more and more individual doctors speaking up? There were a few, ahead of the time, speaking up against industries killing millions, but why not more? Maybe it's because the majority of physicians themselves smoke cigarettes. Just like the majority of physicians today continue to eat foods that are contributing to our epidemics of dietary disease. What was the AMA's rallying cry back then? Everything in moderation. Extensive scientific studies have proven smoking in moderation. Oh, that's fine. Sound familiar? The food industry uses those same tobacco industry tactics, twisting the science, misinformation. The same scientists for hire paid to downplay the risk of cigarettes and toxic chemicals are the same paid for by the National Confectioners Association to downplay the risk of candy, and the same paid for by the meat industry to downplay the risk of meat. Whereas processed foods and animal foods are wiping out 14 million people every year. Those of us in this room, part of this evidence-based nutrition revolution, we're talking about 14 million lives in the balance every year. So maybe plant-based eating should be considered kind of the nutritional equivalent of stopping smoking. But how long do we have to wait before the CDC says don't wait for open heart surgery? Before starting to eat healthy as well. Until the system changes, we need to take personal responsibility for our own health, for our family's health. We can't wait until society catches up to the science again because it's a matter of life and death. And when Dr. Kim Williams was asked, when he became president of the American College of Cardiology, he was asked in an interview why he himself follows the same diet he recommends to all his patients, strictly plant-based diet. I don't mind dying, Dr. Williams replied. I just don't want it to be my own fault. Thank you so much. questions? Yes?
Dr. Stephen Gundry wrote that book, Plant Paradox, and he says that lectins and beets and tomatoes, nightshades, are good fruit.
So for those who didn't hear the question, there's a fellow by the name of Gundry who wrote a book called The Plant Paradox. And what was the paradox? Paradox was supposedly, look, plant foods appear to be so good for you, but some plant foods, like beans and tomatoes and lentils, have what are called lectins, which are really bad for you. But I, Dr. Gundry, have a line of lectin-blocking supplements, which I will sell you for the low, low price of, in fact, he has like thousands of dollars worth of supplements. Anyway, so I've got videos on talking about lectins, talking about his book, Plant Paradox. In fact, the first video was not so subtly entitled, Dr. Gundry's Plant Paradox is wrong. And then I go through one more point. Lectins, the bit of truth is that, yeah, you can't eat raw kidney beans, but I mean, you can't even buy, raw kidney beans are little rocks. How people eat raw kidney beans? But if you soak them in water for long enough, they get kind of firm and rubbery, and if you didn't cook them, you would get violently ill if you ate them. But thankfully, cooking destroys all harmful lectins, such that by you squish it with a fork, there's no more lectins left, and you can enjoy all the benefits. And the lectins in uncooked foods like tomatoes are harmless or even helpful in terms of anti-cancer benefits. We've got lots of, and I got a video on that as well. And so no paradox, plants are good for you. Don't listen to anyone who's trying to sell you snake oil. Yeah. Yes? So the question was, is there anything past the daily dozen that lactating mothers should be eating? What is the daily dozen? Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen, free app, iPhone, Android. This is my recommendations to eat the kind of the healthiest of healthiest foods to fit into one's daily routine. So I encourage people to eat, berries every day, the healthiest fruits, greens every day, the healthiest vegetables, things from brown flax seeds, quarter teaspoon turmeric, on and on. As beverages, as sweeteners, how much exercise, blah, blah, blah. And you can just click through the app and make a game of plotting your progress, whatever. Okay. But what if you're a lactating mother? You have a greater caloric intake. But we just need more of those daily dozen foods. However, I would, for all pregnant breastfeeding women, it's critical that they get a source of iodine in their diets. Something. Now you can get the safest source of iodine would be sea vegetables. So 2 sheets of nori, like the sushi, you can just chew on them as a snack. You're snacking on dark green leafy vegetables, probably the healthiest snack on the planet. Get all the iodine you need. You can use, some dulse flakes, like little purple seaweed, very mild flavor. People don't like seaweed. Arame is a nice little noodle-like thing. Seaweed, great for soups. And I have, videos on, how much, seaweed salad you have to get every day to get all your iodine, whatever. Or you can take an iodine supplement, 150 micrograms every day to get all the iodine you need. Critically important, particularly during pregnancy, but I would include that during breastfeeding. With the 2 caveats, you do not want to, there's 2 seaweeds you don't want to eat: kajiki, which has too much arsenic, which just pulls arsenic out of the seawater for some reason, and kelp actually has too much iodine, and you can easily overdose and run into a problem called toxicosis. So, with those 2 exceptions, seaweed, sea vegetables are the healthiest source of iodine. Yes?
Is there any scientific evidence of plant-based diet helping with mental illness?
Oh, great question. So if you saw, when I showed the top 15 leading causes of death, killer number 10 is suicidal depression. And there's only been one diet that's ever been shown, proven in a randomized controlled trial, to improve mood, and that one single diet is a plant-based diet, where they remove eggs, chicken, and other meat from people's diet because that's the source of arachidonic acid, this long-chain inflammatory omega-6 fatty acid found predominantly in chicken and eggs, but throughout the animal kingdom. They think it was inflaming people's brains. It was neuroinflammation, where we can be able to clear that inflammation from our brains within as short as 2 weeks by removing those products from our diet. That's when they showed at the University of Arizona. And it's the only such study ever to date that in a randomized controlled trial, that rigorous clinical trial, to show any improvement in movement. There are other conditions that have been shown. So, for example, generalized anxiety disorder, those randomized to butternut squash seeds, like a little bar versus a bar, a placebo bar that didn't have butternut squash seeds. A significant improvement, generalized anxiety disorder, in any dietary interventional studies, as far as I know, on major depression or manic depression. But I very much look forward to that research. In fact, that's my, let's see, that's the book that'll be out in 2032. My book, I have a 3-year book cycle. And the reason I put the mental health book at the end is because there's just very little evidence now. I'm hoping it'll build over time. By the time I do that book, I'll have lots of good data to share with everybody. Yes. Oh, well, hello.
Did you forget about us? We all have questions. I'm just kidding. Hi, okay, I have a question. So why is it that most studies and peer-reviewed research is in reference to a vegetarian diet and not a vegan or plant-based diet? I find it difficult when I'm debating with people that they say, oh, it's vegetarian, so eggs are okay. Why is it not clearly stated that it's a plant-based vegan diet?
Well, so in the literature, vegetarian can mean a bunch of things. So sometimes vegetarian does mean vegan, and that they specify lacto-ovo-vegetarian or ovo-vegetarian or lacto-vegetarian if you're including other animal products. You just have to read the materials method to see what kind of diet people will put on, and then you can only make claims about that, meat-free diet or meat-free. So read the study. Question? Yes. Is gluten really bad for you? Well, not bad for me. I don't have celiac disease. About 1 in 143 Americans or so are stricken with autoimmune disease, in which that can be effectively treated by excluding all gluten-containing grains from the diet, wheat, barley, and rye. But we used to think you didn't have celiac disease, nothing to worry about. But it turns out there's another disorder, or wheat allergy, about 1,000 people. We now recognize something called non-celiac gluten sensitivity. About a similar preference, a little less than 1% of people don't have celiac disease, but get kind of irritable bowels type symptoms from eating gluten-containing grains. And so 1% celiac, 1% non-celiac, so about 1 in 50 people. But for the other 98% of us, gluten is a perfectly healthy plant protein like any other plant protein. And I've got a bunch of videos on the site if you're interested in a deep dive into gluten. Anything over here? Yes?
What about this cost of home seeds? That is oatmeal and stuff like that.
Great! The question was, what about hemp seeds? Eat them! Great source of omega-3 fatty acids. Everything else you might see. Yeah? Sure, don't eat it. So I'm encouraging people to eat a whole food plant-based diet. So eat dates, eat fruit, eat all the sugar you want, but in a whole food form. Same thing with fat. Eat all the fat you want in terms of nuts, seeds, nut butter, seed butters, avocados, but just not in the oil form where you are refined and removed all the wonderful nutrition. Why would you do that? You take a sugar beet, which is where we get most of our sugar from these days. You remove all the fiber, all the nutrition, just like the table sugar. Why would you do that? Why would you rob your food of all those wonderful nutrients? Yes? Coconut. Coconut oil is bad for you. Coconut oil, so there's 3 tropical oils, right? It's coconut oil, palm kernel oil, and palm oil, which are the rare sources of plant saturated fat. Most saturated fat found in meat, dairy, processed junk, but coconut oil is one of the rare sources. It's highly saturated and you should stay away from it. And so you give people coconut oil and their LDL cholesterol, their bad cholesterol shoots up the same as if they're just getting the same amount of lard. But what if you give people coconut? Like just straight, like unsweetened, flake fried coconut or something. And what happens is there's no bump cholesterol whatsoever. But it also doesn't help your cholesterol. So what happens is there's still a little coconut oil within that flake coconut, which is increasing your cholesterol, but it also has plant protein and fiber, like all plant protein, and so that's decreasing your cholesterol. So what happens is you have a neutral effect, and you can eat all the coconut you want without affecting your cholesterol, but you could argue, wait a second, why eat something that just has a neutral effect on your cholesterol when you could be eating any other plant food that just has a whole benefit, right? Actually actively reduces your cholesterol. Right, so the coconut oil within coconut is counterbalancing the fiber effect, canceling out the fiber, neutralizing the fiber effect. Why not eat any other plant food? That's a legitimate, but I mean, it's not like people center their diets around coconut. But there are healthier plant foods out there, but certainly not something to worry about. But coconut oil, put it on your skin, but just don't put it inside. And don't even put it on infant skin, because infants' skin is so permeable, you can actually increase the level of saturated fat in your blood. But as soon as you, after infancy, you can slather it all over while you're on. You tell me! You bring a lot of snacks. Let's look at my snacks. Freeze-dried broccoli. No joke. Okay, hold on, fruits. They're not sticky because they're single pack things. What else I got? Probably got, what do we got? Dried dragon fruits or dried fruit, nuts, a lot of trail mixy kind of stuff. What else? We've been blowing snacks. I've been on the road for a couple weeks now. So, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, now it's easier than ever before. You find yourself in an airport food court. Now I get things like brown rice and things like that. I never thought I would see. You just do your best, and then when you have control over your life again, you can eat really healthy. What about coffee? So in How Not to Die, so this book was, this talk was based on my previous book, How Not to Die. I talk about the benefits of coffee in my chapters on liver, brain, and depression. So it can decrease risk of depression, Parkinson's, and improve liver function. Actually can be used to treat those with certain forms of hepatitis. But then I talk about the downsides. So the downsides in terms of glaucoma, people with urinary incontinence, and causes calcium loss, those concerned about bone health. Coffee is not a great choice. Bottom line, I don't recommend drinking coffee, not because it's bad for you, but because every cup of coffee is a lost opportunity to drink something healthier, green tea. There's more on research supporting the benefits of green tea, and it doesn't have the relative downside. So it's just about the opportunity cost of drinking coffee, not that coffee doesn't have the beneficial effects.
Balcony.
Hello.
What
Balcony.
about bone density in long-term vegans?
What about bone density in long-term vegans? As long as you're getting enough calcium, 600 milligrams a day, shouldn't be any problem with bone density. But the most important thing is not how much calcium you eat or how much vitamin D you get. It's weight-bearing exercise. It's use it or lose it. The reason why astronauts lose as much as 2% of their skeletal mass every month in space, because the body's like, why am I building a skeleton? I'm not going to use it. And the same thing happens when you sit on the couch all day, is your body's like, well, why am I even wasting my time and resources building a skeleton? So, I recommend 90 minutes of moderate intensity exercise a day. If someone's worried about their bone health, that should be weight bearing, so walking as opposed to swimming.
What do you say, having green juice versus a smoothie and the fiber?
Oh, yeah. So what about green juice versus green smoothie? What's the best?
Smoothie.
Oh, why? Because the whole food, right? Otherwise, the juice, you're throwing away all that wonderful food. You're throwing away all that fiber. You say, wait a second, I'm plant-based. I don't need to worry about fiber. Well, actually, you're not just throwing out the fiber. So about 80% or more, the polyphenol phytonutrients, which is why we think fruits and vegetables are so good for us, the purported active ingredient, are actually bound to the fiber. And only are released into our system when our good gut bacteria eat the fiber, release the polyphenols, and it's absorbed back into our system and have all these benefits. So you're throwing 90% away when you're not eating the fiber. And so it's critically important. So put it all in a smoothie and go crazy. Yes. Very little. So the question was about CBD oil. What about the evidence backing up its use? There's very little, but there's very little period on CBD. So I did a whole long series, about a 20 video series on cannabis, and basically reviewing every possible downside and upside, and wanted to include videos on CBD oil, but there's basically non-existent. So does that mean it's not good for you? No. Does that mean maybe it's horrible for you? Maybe. We have no idea because there's no good peer-reviewed science on CBD oil. So, but anyone who purports benefits is just, basing it on anecdote or trying to sell you something. Or anyone who says it's bad for you, they're also basing it on anecdotes. There's just no good science. And so, I would take it.
Protein. Is there difference in, or do you get complete protein from protein? My mom is very concerned.
Mom is concerned about protein. So all plant proteins, every single one is a complete protein, meaning it's every single amino acid. There's only one incomplete protein in the food supply, that's gelatin, which is made from bones. So you can't live off jello. Literally, if you just live off jello, you die. You need complete protein. But but all plant proteins have all such amino acids. Anyone who doesn't know how to get protein on a plant-based diet doesn't know beans. Legumes, beans, flippings, chickpeas, and lentils. These are plant protein superstars like a kingdom, and that's why I encourage people. It's part of my daily dozen. Legumes are one of the important things, and that's one of the reasons. So it's all the benefits of, that one might expect from meat, like protein, zinc, and iron, but missing out the sensory fat and cholesterol and things that you don't want. And it has a bonus, it has the fiber, folate, and all the other things missing from animal-based protein sources. So it's kind of the best of all worlds.
There's a lot of definitions out here. Can you provide the real perspective of what the distinction is between vegan and whole?
Yeah, somebody brought that up. So the question is, wait a second, what do I mean by plant-based? Is that vegan? Okay, well, as a physician, someone comes to me and says they're vegan. That gives me very little information, right? That just tells me what you don't eat, right? I have all these college-age vegans living off of french fries and beer, and now, it used to be 20 years ago, if you were vegan, what you shop in produce aisle. Now, you can be eating vegan donuts all day, and, you name it, right? You can get any junk on the planet now, vegan. And so it doesn't say much in terms of one's health. That's why I prefer this term whole food plant-based. That actually tells me, oh, you actually eat your vegetables. Wow, there we go. That's the concept. And doesn't carry kind of the ideological baggage. Some people ascribe to veganism. So the definition of whole food plant-based is a diet that minimizes the intake of meat, eggs, dairy, and processed junk, and maximizes the intake of fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts and seeds, mushrooms, herbs, and spices, basically real food that grows out of the ground. These are our healthiest choices.
your like what it makes you yourself? You also like fry your food. I don't know if you guys probably because I want to.
I just deep fry everything. you take your dehydrated broccoli, you just deep. Yeah, so best cooking method. So, in general, the most nutrient-sparing cooking method is probably microwave. But there's specific methods for specific foods. I have videos on all of them. Like, I love my bell peppers. It turns out there's specific methods that appear for whatever reason. Much of the nutrition that's lost in cooking is actually just lost to the cooking water. It just leaches into the water, which is fine if you're making a soup. As long as you're drinking that. But, it's not something, but if you, just, boil your greens or something, you can throw out that water. You really are going to have a significant amount of potassium. You really wouldn't want to do that. So that's why something like steaming would be better, or microwaving. My favorite is basically pressure steaming, using an electric pressure cooker, like an Instant Pot, where you put a little water at the bottom, you put a steamer tray, run all the grain, and then you steam it for 0 minutes, meaning just as soon as it reaches pressure, it turns off. And that's been, and so that probably preserves the most. You just get this bright emerald, perfect green color, and super delicious and tender, and you're making me hungry.
How important is it in your selection of the vegetables? For example, selecting totally organic vegetables.
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah. So here I am telling everyone to eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Doesn't matter if they're organic. So in Out on to Die, I talk about a modeling study that suggested that if half of Americans ate just a single serving of fruits or vegetables a day, we would prevent 20,000 cases of cancer every year. That's how powerful fruits and vegetables are. Right? But because you're talking about conventional fruits and vegetables, pesticide-laden fruits and vegetables, the extra pesticide burden of the American population would cause 10 cancer cases. So, we would only prevent 19,990 cases of cancer. That gives you a sense of the tremendous benefit of fruits and vegetables versus the tiny bump in risk. You say, well, wait a second. Why accept any risk at all? Why get all benefit, no risk by choosing organic? Right. But we should never let concern about pesticides prevent us from stuffing our face with as many fruits and vegetables as possible. Thank you so much, everyone. Happy